Hello there, Pam. How are you today?
I'm very well. Thank you,
Awesome.
Dr. Mhm.
Yes, I am so thrilled to have you here with me today. It's been a while. And so, for those of you who are joining us, I have Pamela Edwards, and Pamela is an expert, a feng shui master. And I met Pamela about 10 years ago. In fact, 10 years ago to the year, at an amazing, wonderful conference where I saw her do her magic with feng shui, and I was hooked immediately. So I did have a feng shui reading with Pamela, and I was just completely enthralled about the information that she was able to give me, not just about my space, but about my personal experiences. And I found it fascinating. And so now, come full circle, as I am doing energy healing for clients and other situations, I have come back around to really reappreciate this moment, all of this amazing, fascinating phenomena that is available to us that I think that many of you need to be aware of. And so today I am so delighted to have Pamela with us, and she is going to definitely blow the socks off your feet
Mm.
when you learn about some of the possibilities of the energies in our space, particularly with feng shui. And so Pamela has been a major expert in the feng shui field, and she has done business innovating design firms specializing in accelerating business performance. She has spoken on many stages around the world. Pamela has also been featured in Forbes and many other very recognized publications. And she really does the feng shui for you to, in your space at home, not just businesses, but in your space at home to help you to increase the flow. And we can talk a little bit more about her experience and how she got here in a moment. But for now, I want you to go and get yourself comfortable, get your pens, your paper, whatever it is that you need to take notes from or for, because I am certain that you're going to want to refer back to some of these bits and pieces that you will be getting here as we chat together and as you learn more information about feng shui. So, once again, Pamela Edwards, welcome to our show.
Welcome, Dr. Gwen. I'm very appreciative of being part of your show. Thank you for thinking of me.
Oh, absolutely, all the time. So, could you just, I know you've got a wide range of experiences over decades of this thing, but could you, in just maybe a minute or so, give us a synopsis of what really led you to this space?
Well, I have a background in environmental design from early on in my life because as a child, I was always attracted to spaces. I would go as a kid and hang out in buildings being built, different homes and stuff, and always just, I love just spending time on those spaces and imagining what they could look like. So I think that's really where it started, was my fascination with environments and energy and how an environment can make you feel.
No, I find that fascinating. When many of us are playing with dolls and dirt, you're looking at buildings. And that sounds to me like something that came in from another life.
I have.
But that also shows the gift that you bring to the space, that you already had that inkling or an idea of how this thing works. So that's really good. Now, tell us, what is feng shui? I know there are a couple of different methods. What is feng shui, and which of the methods do you do?
I practice traditional or classical feng shui. So the That type of feng shui is based on a compass reading of a building to determine the orientation. And from that, then we determine where the different sectors of your building are located, the north, the south, the east and west, and so on, to then create a roadmap for what we need to take a look at as far as, because feng shui is based on the 5 elements and water, wood, fire, earth, and metal. And it's not so much that wood is wood, but wood is a certain type of energy. And there's a whole language that is associated with all these elements. And so I look to see how those elements are represented in someone's environment. And we look at the yin and yang qualities of a space to see light, dark, active, inactive, where we need to wake up an environment, where we need to calm it down. Those types of things are taking a look at as far as feng shui. Now, I don't know if people realize, feng shui really is part of a metaphysical system. And it is, it's been used for thousands of years, and it's actually developed over 1,000 years. It didn't happen just at one time. It was different masters, different genius people who gradually observed things in the environment to learn how it was influencing us in our physical environment. And it's learning how to harness that energy, that chi force. And we look at the directions, the locations, the sectors in your environment, determine how you can benefit from it positively, from that chi energy.
That's just fascinating because I don't think that many of us quite tune into the fact about those 5 elements. And even though in different traditions, those 5 elements can be named a little differently, I think they function the same. As a matter of fact, I just completed a divination for a friend of mine. And in that divination system, it's based on the 5 elements. And it's a very ancient art, and it's based on the fact that, or the notion that, we all are embodiment of the 5 element within our systems. And because we embody these elements, then it would make sense that these elements will impact us in a certain way, just as much as the EMF frequency impact our bodies when we interact with it. So that makes sense. And it really is fascinating. So let's talk about feng shui as it relates to relationships. So, knowing that it's based on the 5 elements, what kind of information can you provide to our audience that would help them to understand some things they can do practically to impact the relationships around their homes, as an example, or in their business place?
Okay, so first of all, we need to receive the energy into our space. So feng shui is not just about your internal space, it's about the external environment and how that energy can actually feed into what we call your front door, through the windows, through different access points, but most importantly, from where you enter into your facility, your home or your business, and then how that energy can then be distributed into your space. So think of your front door like a portal for where the energy can come into your space. We want to welcome that energy. We want to have a space inside for the energy to move around. So therefore, you don't want to have a lot of things that are too close to the front door, because you want space for the energy to move and expand. You don't want a mirror across from your front door, because that will actually just push back the energy out the door. So having it come in and then having it be able to disperse through your environment. Think of it like a wandering stream. You want that energy flow to move through your space so that it can feed the different sectors of your environment.
Yeah, that does make sense. And so once you move inside, now you do your magic and you use your compass And you also arrange the inside similarly? Is that what, like, we would know what that looks like from a practical standpoint, but from a theoretical standpoint, in our own minds, we're not experts. So when you're considering a space, if I move in my front door, then I move in my dining room, then I also want the flow to continue in that manner. And is there any particular tips or suggestions that you can provide that would help to create a better relationship with the people who are in that building in terms of the flow of energy?
Okay, so
Hopefully that makes sense.
a lot of times people tend to have their spaces too cluttered with furniture and different things that it makes it more difficult for the energy to move around. So as you walk in, you don't want to have like a sofa just blocking the energy. You want to think about your living space, like especially like usually it's your living room, which is your first space to come into, and how the energy can move around the furniture so that it comes into that space and the furniture is not positioned so it blocks the energy from coming into the engaging with you in that space. And so think about that in terms of how you move around your environment. And of course, when I'm going there, I have eyes that see all different kinds of things. And so I'm looking at how it supports the five elements. For example, the wood element, we want to have, where there's the wooden part of your house, like the east, the southeast, or even the south, which actually enhances the wood element. You want to have maybe some fresh plants. You want to have space for, light, and of course, having the light come in so that it can embellish that area. For the metal location, which would be the northwest and the west, we want to have items that have that metal energy, which is a sphere, which is round, which is can be different types of movement of objects that really can give you a sense of what that's like. Here, for example, I'll just show you, actually, just see if I can show you this painting. Like this painting itself, something's falling down here, gives you a sense of like some metal kind of motion that you can create, in the artwork even that you put into your space. But having a pleasing decor where the pieces that you put in there are thought out, they're put there with intention about how you want that to make your space feel, because it's all about how your space feels. And so there's no like set kind of rules about how you need to put your space together. It's very, but you want to have it just so that people can move around in that space freely. And so what I do is I look at, based on your orientation, we determine, and based on who you are as a person, based on the time of birth, we determine how we can create an alliance between you and your space, where we can create intersections where energetically it's compatible with you. And so therefore we determine where, if a lot of people have a workplace to work at home now, so where do we put your desk so that it can support you? And of course the desk we want such that it has a solid wall behind it and it's facing the doorway, it's facing where people are coming into the space so that you can welcome them. Those types of things, even in your bedroom. Are we still there?
Yes. We are. Yes.
Okay. Even like, for example, in your bedroom, it's very important that you keep the energy very calm in the bedroom. So for example, you would like to minimize all electricity in your bedroom. So TVs, clocks, different things that you have, it's better actually that you unplug them for when you go to sleep, because even though they are turned off, they have a frequency that's still emitting through them. So, and sleep is one of the biggest issues that I find people have, with my clients. And so it's looking at ways to create that sense of calmness in their bedroom space. So colors, we want soothing colors, we want soft colors. If you're looking for a relationship, most importantly, you want balance in your bedroom. You want 2 nightstands. You want matching lamps. You want soft colors in the room. You want pictures and imagery that represent people in relationship. These are just a few ideas about how you can make your space much more comfortable and much more inviting.
Right. Those are very, very helpful tips. And as you said that, I remembered at one point you had told me not to have three of something. And I had like, it was like three vertical candle in my bedroom. And I moved one of them and put it somewhere else so that there could be a two. So the subtlety of the energy is what I'm getting from what you're saying is that the arrangement of the furniture, the number of pieces that we have, the colors and everything can actually impact the quality of our relationships. Is that what I'm interpreting correctly?
Well, you have to realize everything is a frequency. So,
Precisely.
and even though, say you said 2 or 3 candles, there is a subconscious influence in that. And numbers also relate to different sectors of your home. So for example, a 3 may be good in the south or the east location, but we would prefer maybe two items in the northwest or something like that. So we look to see where we want to create just looking for all the subtleties. It's like putting pennies in the bank. The more pennies we can put in the bank, the more we can create this alignment within your space.
Would you say, and this is a question that just came to me, would you say that because many people are not northwest, south, you know, cognizant.
Yes.
So would you say that if I arranged my space and walk in and I felt that flow and that ease and it feels really great, that I'm somewhat okay with what's going on and the arrangement, even though I may not be aware of north, south, east? Is there some kind of consolation knowing that if I fix my space and it allows the flow of the energy around it, I can actually encourage the positive energies to come in to influence my relationship or what's going on in my home, despite the fact that I'm not cognizant of the north, south, east, west? Or is it a must to have it that be that way?
In general, the flow of your space isn't based on that. But
Okay.
what you can use is it's very simple for someone to use their phone because it has a compass app on the phone to determine the orientation of your space. Now that gives you just like a broad sector. You can't rely on your phones for complete accuracy, but it still gives you a sense of location wise because like for example, this year, there are certain locations that are more auspicious that you want to spend time in. So there is wanting a knowingness about that. For example, the north in your environment this year is very auspicious. And one of the specifics about the north is it has the energy of multiplicity. So with what you're thinking in your mind, you have the ability to expand that even more. So your thoughts and what your intentions are can be multiplied to greater extent by spending time in that space, because spending time in the north location of your space activates that energy. And if you have a window or a door that goes to the outside, that energize it even more. So this is just one reason why knowing the directional locations of your space, like the roadmap in your space, gives you some benefits.
Yes, absolutely. And that brings me to an event that I saw actually had you experienced like 10 years ago when we were actually at that conference. And there was this table at the conference that no one was going to. You did some kind of magic And then within a few minutes, that table, the corner was full, whereas it was empty for a good period of the morning. So is that the kind of stuff you're talking about? Because I literally saw that in action with my own two eyes, okay? And I would have been a doubtful Thomas had I not seen that. But yeah, is that some of what you're talking about, like rearranging the space to cause the flow of the energy? And I think people need to really see the fact that it actually doesn't just affect the energies we don't physically see with our eyes, it does also affect the energies that we see and experience. And I find that very amazing.
Well, I think in that particular situation, what we did was we changed the doors by which you entered into that room. And so it created the energy coming in from a specific door, creating a relationship with the location of where that person was in the conference area. And that changed
Mm,
the energy, how it was coming to him. And once that location was much more energized, people naturally want to gravitate to it.
beautiful. Now,
Mhm.
I want to go back to the whole arrangement. While you were talking about arranging and the doorways, etc., the thought came about someone who is in a rental space, and they how can they incorporate feng shui because they may not have the ability to move some of the stuff that physically comes in the space. Is there a way for them to work through that or
Well,
work
I
around that?
people in rental spaces, and there's not really much difference. The only thing with a rental space, of course, if I were recommending some kind of remodel change, that would be impossible
Mhm.
to do. But there's always solutions. There's such a broad spectrum of ways in which we can work with a space, and through my experience, I know many modalities and how we can approach an environment. So there's always a way to help someone.
Yeah,
And,
awesome.
and you have to realize feng shui, when I am going to feng shui some persons, I really need to know their objectives and goals, because we're looking to see how we can help them with whatever in particular they would like to see an improvement with. So it can be
Yeah.
financial stability, it can be wellness, and it can be, of course, wanting to have better relationships. So those are generally the three broad topics that people want to have help with. And so that's why we look at the environment to see where it's influencing them in a way that's not serving them, and what kind of change we can make
Mhm.
to change that situation for them.
Yeah, a great follow-up question to that then is what can you share? How can people who have like small, cluttered spaces, like the space is really small, improve the flow of the energy in that space?
You need to get rid of some of your stuff. You need to open up that space, and make sure that things are well positioned so that there is a flow in that space. Because if you just have it full of stuff, number one, it creates confusion. It affects your
Mhm.
thinking. It can affect your health. And just think, if you have a very constricted space with which that you're working, how successful do you think you're going to be in your life? Your energy cannot expand. So even if it's a small space, minimize your furnishings in that space to give you room to breathe. See how your relationship is with your door. The door is say you have a room in your house where you're working. Make sure you have a good relationship between you and the door. Don't have your
Mhm.
back to the door. Have yourself facing or sideways to the door, so you can welcome the energy coming into that space, no matter the size of your room.
Mm. Yes, and knowing clutter is one of the biggest things I think that blocks people. And I don't think many people are quite tuned into how it really impacts their energies. So I'm very happy that you said that. When speaking of the door situation, does it matter whether the door, so if I'm in my office and I'm facing the door,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter whether I close my office door or whether I leave it open. Does
No,
it
as long
matter?
as you're not sitting in alignment with the door.
Perfect.
So
Yeah.
you don't want to be directly. It's like you want a gentle flow coming to you. You don't want you don't want a torrent of energy coming to you. So have a gentle flow of energy. And because even though the door is closed, the energy does seep through the door because it's not solidly, there's
Right.
gaps around the door. Hmm.
Absolutely. What are some of the common mistakes you find people making with feng shui when you go to visit your clients?
Well, I think common mistakes is just that they have things arranged in a way that is blocking the energy flow. So things cannot move within their space. Or like, for example, they in their bedroom, they have their bed on the same wall as the door. So how that means the energy has to make this sort of U-turn to get to them. So it's not really coming to them. And so the energy is much more stagnant on that wall in the room. You also
Mhm.
Many times I see people with their beds across from the bathroom. So you don't really want the entrance to the bathroom directly coming onto the bed. So if you have that situation, you really need to keep that door closed. Um, Ideally, and it's not always possible to move your bed away from that because of how houses are designed. They're not designed with feng shui in mind.
Yeah.
Um, it's important to get the energy into your space. Like, for example, the front door. A lot of times people have plants and lots of things blocking the energy coming into the door. We need to open up that space so that it creates this energy that can come in and feed you. You want good, healthy food into your body. You don't
Yeah,
want you want to be nourished in that way inside your space.
definitely.
And you have to realize everyone, based on their birth year, has certain directions and locations that are more favorable for them. So sometimes when you come into people's spaces, they're sleeping in the wrong direction, they're sleeping in the wrong location, or the same with where they're working. So we look to see how we can rearrange their space to really support them energetically.
Yeah, definitely. I remembered when I had to rearrange my sleeping space because I was sleeping on the wrong walls, the wrong whatever, and that was playing out with my health. So that was interesting. I don't think you remembered that, but I do. So yes. So do doesn't matter if you have natural plant elements versus those really realistic fake ones in your home.
As long as they're not plastic. Hmm. Silk
Hmm.
plants, there's a lot of plants that look so real these days. But it's better to stick away from the plastic because plastic doesn't have any energy. Hmm. More ideally, if you have some live plants because they are breathing, they're feeding into your space. So even shapes of plants in different locations in your space, different shapes do better in different locations. Like for in the south locations, plants that have more kind of pointed leaves actually facilitate the energy in the south because south is the energy of fire, and fire is more of a triangular energy. Just
Mhm.
as you think of a flame of fire.
Yeah. Mhm.
So you can get really specific. Uh,
Yeah, really. I'm seeing that. It's like, wow, okay.
mhm.
Um, so this year seems to have a specific reference point. We call this the rabbit year. What does that mean for us from feng shui standpoint?
Well, it's what it is. It's a water rabbit year. And so every year new vibrational energies come, and each of those energies are always asking us to change in some way. And so this year, of course, we're moved into the water rabbit, which is a yin water, yin wood year. And what that means is, it's just like last year, you can expect that we're going to have the need for massive breakthroughs, because we are in an incredible time of change. We are cycling out of a 20-year cycle of energy into a new cycle of energy that begins in 2024. So that is part of the disruption that we are experiencing in the world. We're moving from an earth-based energy into a fire-based energy. Earth is more grounded and solid. Fire is moving very quickly, and it's an illumination of energy. So you can see why we are so stirred up. And the rabbit itself is it's all about, it's really an opportune time for new beginnings. Imagine the rabbit is a yin wood energy. So imagine a spring shower bringing joy to a blossoming flower with like trinkles of rainfall. Because a yin water is rainfall or clouds in the sky. It's a more gentle energy. Versus last year, we had a very, very strong yang energy movement. And you could feel the pressure that was bringing on us, So the thing is I embellish your life with change, because change is what is going to evolve and move us forward. And it is a time for these new beginnings to really take part in our life. So, and rabbits are curious creatures. So it's a time for learning and growth, because it is a wood energy. Just like I said before, wood is this expansive energy. And the challenge can be with change and with impatience this year. So learn to have some discipline, and make sure what you start, you are prepared to finish, because we potentially can have a lot of interests of what we want to create in our life this year, but hone it down and be specific with what you want to accomplish. So, and the rabbit also is what we consider, what we call this peach blossom energy. And so it's definitely a year for romance and attracting new relationships into our life. So if you're in that space in your life, be open for the possibilities, what can happen for you.
And it seems like the whole concept, the feng shui stuff, doesn't just cover it's like an astrology type thing as well. Is this a part of the feng shui system, all of these predictions that you are providing?
So Feng Shui is part of metaphysics. Metaphysics includes Chinese astrology, it includes face reading, it includes Feng Shui and other modalities. And they are all based on the 5 elements and the yin yang principles. But they have their own ways of expressing themselves. Because in Chinese astrology, your astrology is based on the elements and the animals. So your year, month, day, and hour each have an element and an animal, which is representative of traits about your personality. And just like that, the minute the new year comes in, it also has its astrology chart. And that's what we interpret to determine forecasting for what potentially is going to happen in the year ahead.
Perfect. Yeah, so we're winding down to the end, and I love stories. I love success stories. I know you've been working with a lot of clients over the years. Pamela, can you share with us one success story of a client that you may have worked with and implemented the feng shui principles and saw positive results in either their life or their business as a result?
So, okay, I'll speak about a couple that I met in CO space about 10 years ago. And I began working with them, and they were just starting a business. So they had a startup idea. And so we took a look at their home environment, and Unfortunately, in their situation, we advise them actually to move, which does happen sometimes because sometimes the energy is so restrictive about a space, we just can't get the energy into the environment. And so we had them move, and their business really came to life. And the interesting about their space, about their business, is that they were able to develop this business without incurring debt. So they took one step at a time, and they got successfully a team together. And over the years, we have been consulting with them. So for 10 years, I have been, and I help them annually. We make changes. They've moved a couple times, and each time we've gotten into an environment that actually helps them expand their business even more. So I can say now they have $1 million business, and they do not have debt in their business, and their business is flourishing. And this year they're actually even launching a new business.
Wow.
So, yes. So it is possible. It is possible to do this. And with guidance and actually, being practical in what you're doing, there are ways to grow your business step by step, because Feng Shui is not a miracle thing that's going to make things just happen. It sets up your space so that it engages you to take action and to grow yourself. That's the key about it. You can have the perfect space, but if you do not taking action in your life, it's not going to really benefit you. It's a missed opportunity.
Absolutely, perfectly said. And so, Pamela, I know you work with clients, and so I want to give you an opportunity to share your contact information with anyone who would like to reach out to you
Okay.
for either consultation or whatever else may be needed. And I will also copy the link and share it below. But how can we reach you?
Okay, I have a website, and it's languageofspace.com. And that is the name of my company, Language of Space. And you can go on to my website and you can sign up to be part of my newsletter, which I do monthly. And that is a perfect way to get tips about the month. Every month I write a pretty extensive newsletter with the energies for the month, and which animal signs, specific animal signs that are most challenged that month, and what you can expect to happen, or which animal signs are most favorable, and what locations in your home you need to be watchful or to spend more time with. And so it's a wonderful way to begin to embrace what Feng Shui has to offer. And on my website, if you are interested in knowing more, or the potentiality I do, how Feng Shui can benefit you, I offer a 30-minute exploratory session with you. You can sign up through my website. I think that's one of the best ways. My email address is Pamela@Language of Space. I am on Facebook, and I think that's probably pretty good ways to get a hold of me.
Thank you so much, Pamela, and I really appreciate your expertise and you sharing these information with us. I am sure from the information that many of us will be able to at least start some type of processing, and then probably some practical steps to start rearranging areas in our houses or in our businesses to create the flow that we need for the energy to access our productivity, our relationships, and also the good luck that we're seeking in our lives with the action. And so people can reach you at languageofspace.com or at your email at pamela@languageofspace.com. And thank you for joining us. And thank you, everyone. I hope that you really enjoyed this interview and that we were able to bring you some vital tips that will help to have you focusing on the elements in your home and in your business and in your relationships to create the flow that you want to experience in your life. Thank you, Pamela, and I will see everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Dr. Gwen. And I just wanted to say for everyone to remember everything is energy. Your space is alive just like you. So treat it with respect and consider your space being designed on purpose to give you the ability to shape your own future.
Awesome and well said. Thanks, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.